Last time we met Jude, I discovered that he needed to unlearn desire, buying things and experiences he wants, but not necessarily needs. I briefed his money master, the CEO of Platinum Asset Management, Andrew Clifford. Andrew created a special masterclass just for Jude to help him see his money challenges differently.
This is a very long game, investing.
I also briefed his financial advisor, Mario Bardella, who's putting a plan together to see if he can help change Jude's mindset to achieve his financial goals. He's already spent time with Jude on the phone and has a good handle on Jude's financial position. Well, I'm back at Jude's house and I'm bringing Mario, his new financial advisor, with me. Today's going to be super interesting, but where I think Jude's probably going to have a bit of an awakening is around that retirement word.
Spot on, Vanessa. I think that's definitely going to be the challenge.
Hi, I'm back. I've got Mario with me.
Hi, Jude.
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Great to see you, mate. Come in.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mario, you've already spent some time with Jude and gone through the financial plan and Lynette, and you've got a pretty good overview of where they're at now. So why don't we talk through, I guess, the nearer term goals, because I know, Jude, that was the thing that you were really interested in helping solve with financial planning.
Jude, in terms of our previous discussion, you explained to me your transition from champion sportsman to family man to corporate professional. You mentioned to me some, some short-term goals around renovating your lovely home.
I think, to me, I feel like I'm just starting my working life, having been in football for the best part of 15 years as a player, and I think you see people transition out and start a new career and a secondary profession in that sense. So it feels like I'm just starting out, but I guess retirement's not that far around the corner as well. I'm getting a bit older as the time goes by.
Looking after your young daughters and ensuring they get the greater education, changing those habits is going to be an important thing for you.
Jude's goal of sending his daughters to a private high school means he has to start preparing now. Tell me about the credit card trap, because it's one so many of us fall into, my friend.
My wife wants to cut my credit card up. I think Lynette's big on the fact that I think she's like, why are you spending this and that? So I think it's something that I've sort of got to, looking forward to going through this process to try and actually have a sense of planning forward. I've just been busy with life.
Yeah, well, as most of us are, to be honest. And when you get the credit card statements, do you try and hide them? It's what I used to do.
Lynette can look at them. She looks at them and just comes and says, why? I've told you not to.
It's interesting to hear, because Mario said you hadn't planned much for what retirement looks like at all.
I haven't, no. I think for me, probably transitioning out of sport into a different career, I feel like I'm just starting out in that process, but to think about that long term, I haven't. I'm trying to put things in place now to look after it, because otherwise it just won't be there when I probably need it most.
Jude knows that credit cards can be a problem, so this is something Mario will address in his financial plan. Jude has to start thinking ahead, because although he's not been that long in his new career, his retirement isn't as far away as he might have thought.
You really need to look at consequences and trade-offs around, well, if you want this, are you prepared to give this up? Or if you want both, what are the sacrifices that you need to make along the way to be able to achieve your dreams? These numbers can get pretty daunting and pretty scary. You're in a fortunate position where embarking on this process and potentially putting a plan in place now gives you the benefit of time.
Yeah, as a sportsman, I certainly knew where I stood at any particular stage, and also had a lot of goals throughout that process, short and long term. And I feel like I haven't got that structure at the moment, which is something I'm really, looking forward to putting in place.
Mario knows Jude's short-term goals include doing more home renovations and travelling overseas with his family. But he's also got to prepare for his mid-term goals of sending his daughters to private school, not to mention taking care of his retirement in the future. It's now time for Jude to go back to school, and I've brought in one of Australia's most respected investors, the CEO of Platinum Asset Management, Andrew Clifford. Platinum was the Morningstar Global Equities Fund Manager of the Year in 2018 and has a 25-year stellar track record in investing globally.
The first thing that I want you to think about with regards to your investing is this. This is a very long game, investing. It is something that we need to think about. People always talk about you need to, when you're investing in the share market, for example, you have to have a 5-year time horizon. Well, I'd say to you, even that's not long enough. We need to be thinking about 5, 10, 20 years out. That is the way we get the great results from investing by having a plan for the long term. While in footy, it's a game at a time and a season at a time, and in some respects in investing, there's each of the individual decisions that you have to make, but ultimately it's all got to be in a coherent fashion based on where do I want to be, not just in 5 years' time, but 10 and 20 years' time. The power of compounding is extraordinary, the results you can get from investing. So you need to know that whatever you're doing now is sustainable throughout the rest of your life to give you the best results possible. You would have had, from the day you first stepped on the field, you would have had a coach. In the early days, there would have been some pretty basic skills and the rules and how the game works. The coach is there observing your game, helping you with observations you can't make about your own play on the field, a strategy for the overall team, and so on. As an investor, I think we all need a coach. That's your financial advisor. Even if you're a very skilled and experienced investor, I still think there's extraordinary value in having someone else look at your circumstances and, as you play the game of being an investor, help you understand how you're behaving, because there are all sorts of disciplines we need in investing. When markets are not going the way we want them to go and we're fearful of outcomes, that's exactly when we need someone to remind us to stay the course, that it's a long-term game that we're in. Or maybe you're not a risk taker and someone needs to tell you, hang on, mate, it's actually time to get on the field and play and go for it here. Best thing any of us can do is to make sure that we have that coach in our investing life.
Yeah, for me, there's a few things that really resonated. I think first and foremost, the discipline, just to make sure that you're really across things, and then I guess then that's just having a plan or a strategy moving forward, where you have that set of eyes and staying the long course. I think being able to sit there and play the long game is very important.
Today we've been talking about Jude Bolton's financial situation. He's always wanted to tack on a garage to his house, not to mention do the bathrooms, but at what cost to his financial future? My guests today are Trent Wiltshire, economist from Domain, and Mario Bardella, financial planner from Mercer and Jude's financial advisor. Welcome to you both.
Hi, thank you.
Well, Mario, Jude wants the reno. We all want the reno. We all want a better bathroom and a garage, don't we? But why did you tell him to limit his spend?
As a financial advisor, Vanessa, it comes back to the start. What's most important to Jude and his family? It's about values. And after we find out what his values are, the main one there was around providing the very best for his family. To me, in my opinion, that starts with the family home. So providing for his young daughters, having the home that they want to obviously aspire to meet their other goals, for me was the starting point for Jude. Now, using cash to do that, I think, was vitally important as well. Some advisors might tell you different. With interest rates being so low at the moment, why not borrow to renovate the home? From my point of view as a financial advisor, I see borrowing to fix up your home starts to impact the cash flow that you might have available to meet your other goals. Jude had some other goals that he needs to achieve in the medium and longer term.
Big ones, right?
Absolutely.
When he found out about the private school fees, he just about fell through the floor. I was going to say something else, but I'll keep it clean. Okay, Trent, tell me, Mario's told Jude to pay cash and just do a part reno, the garage, the bit he really wanted. Is there still money to be made renovating your house in Sydney? I mean, prices are down. Should people not be spending from a Domain's perspective? What do you think? Well,
yeah, prices are down. So in Sydney at the moment, they're down 14% from their peak in 2017. So it's actually the biggest downturn in 3 decades. But looking at a family home particularly, it's really a long-term gain. So looking forward, it's really about weathering those downturns. So between 2000 and now, property prices fell over 4 different periods, but they're actually up more than 3 times over that time period. So it's really
So you're saying it's going to go up still, hold the course?
I think over the long term, yes, price will go up. Maybe not as they were over the past 2 decades where we've seen really exceptional growth, but I think it's really still a good investment over the long term.
But something you've said there is, you've got to hang on to it. So if that's your family home, you've got to stay there 20, 30 years, right, to make it pay?
I think maybe not that long, but definitely a long period is when you'd be really wanting to commit to it. So you sort of look through these downturns. Obviously, Sydney's grown a lot over the past 5 years as well, even. So looking through the small downturn, I think there is, property in Sydney is still a good long-term investment.
What's the most important component of Jude's financial plan, or is it you're going to tell me it's all important?
Look, it is all important, Vanessa, but I think back to Jude's core values, it's not just about the goals and working through to understand what those goals are, but like anything in life, there's trade-offs that you need to make. And in Jude's situation, it was about prioritising what was most important to him based on his core values. So we uncovered that. Short term was the home renovation. Travel was one that Jude mentioned as well, putting a little bit of money away for that. But ultimately, the medium term goal, putting his daughters through private high school education, is absolutely a costly exercise. So your term that I love is unlearning some of Jude's habits, and I think we've gone some way to helping him do that, to really focus on not only the short term, but putting saving strategies and disciplines in place to enable him to meet that next goal, being the medium-term goal of putting his daughters through private high school.
Yeah, look, and we really shamed him on the credit card thing, right? I felt the personal shame myself, actually, which I transferred to Jude. Trent, how does it work with a house value? Like, Jude wants a garage. When people go and value a home, do they say it's got, I know you obviously go on bedrooms and bathrooms, but is a garage something, Mario said he's going to spend about 15 grand, that's going to add value to his house?
I think a good renovation can definitely add value, but with property, really the appreciating part of the asset is the land. It's not the building on top of it. That actually depreciates over time.
Really?
So for a renovation, it definitely adds lifestyle, and Jude will use this garage a lot over his life, but it's really the land that is the part of the asset that appreciates over the long term.
Okay,
so
I
guess
hadn't
that means
thought of that. That's interesting, isn't it? And
absolutely.
kind of crap for the garage case. But
well, it's about not over-capitalising on a renovation.
Word,
so I think, as you said, using cash, that's a good way to discipline yourself, and for Jude not to spend too much money on a renovation when, again, for the family home, of course, you're going to use it, so you get value there, but as part of the asset, it's the land that's a really
So is that the whole
part.
story of best, worst house, best street, that they always say, you are buying the land,
Absolutely,
the house doesn't matter?
So the worst house and the best street is really just land value, whereas the brand new house, that's when you first build it, that's when it's worth the most, and then it starts to depreciate after that as it gets used and gets older. In most cases.
And I think in terms of your point about location there, I think it's important as well. I think, not being a property expert myself, but the location of Jude's family home, it's in a good spot. And again, for me as a financial advisor, having that home, that security net, that safety blanket for Jude's family and their lifestyle, again, going back to values, that was very important to him.
You know what, I find, even with all my friends, let alone Jude and all these amazing athletes we've been working with, people want to have it all, but you kind of figure out if you have the house and you do the renos, you possibly can't have the holidays, or if you want the private school, you may not live in as good an area with the house. How hard is it, Mario, to teach people that sacrifice is part of getting what you want?
It's very difficult, Vanessa. Trying to educate my clients around delaying some of that instant gratification for the future. It's really difficult because it's intangible. You can't touch it, you can't feel it. It's not like the family home, it's not like a brand new car. Building for the future, be it Jude's daughter's private schooling, be it Jude and his wife's retirement down the track. We spoke about that, and it's really an eye-opener when you look at some of the numbers that are involved. People automatically think, wow, am I going to get there? Am I going to be able to do this? If we can do little things now, so again, unlearning some of those habits way back from Jude's footy days, get some discipline happening, even doing a little bit over a long period of time, using this powerful thing called compound interest, it's going to give you the best chance to get there.
And I think actually a mortgage is a good way to instill financial discipline as well. So that paying off your mortgage, that's something you've got to do. And also using a mortgage offset account is a really good tax effective strategy too.
Okay, so be chained to the mortgage, keep paying it down, don't have everything you want at once.
Build up a buffer as well.
All these, God, so much to do. But, it was great to watch someone like Jude, who seems like he's got it all together. Like, he's still learning like the rest of us.